Welcome to Huddle Up, brought to you by the Fields Auto Group. Jaguars senior writer John Oehser, NFL Network Analyst and former Jaguar Bucky Brooks, and senior reporter J.P. Shadrick bring you the latest on your Jacksonville Jaguars. Huddle Up starts right now.
Welcome in. It is Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks. It is Wednesday. It is playoff football. An AFC Wildcard playoff game coming up Sunday, 1 o'clock, Everbank Stadium. The 6-seed Buffalo Bills. The 3-seed Jacksonville Jaguars. We'll get to it coming up. Here is what's coming up on Huddle Up. Of course, the playoff game. We'll take a look at the matchup. Defending Josh Allen, the Bills quarterback, and Bills running back James Cook. The number one rushing offense in the National Football League against the number one run defense for the Jaguars. The Jaguars' offensive momentum, it's sky high at the end of the regular season. How do they carry it over against the Bills' defense? And, of course, we'll take a look at the playoff picture, the bracket, both sides on the road to Super Bowl 60. J.P. Shadrick with John Oehser from the Hyundai Studios of the Miller Electric Center. Bucky Brooks is with us out in Los Angeles. And Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks brought to you by Fields Auto Group Jacksonville. See Fields first, Jacksonville's premier luxury auto group. Go to fieldsauto.com. Bucky, the energy is here. Playoff football is upon us. Good afternoon.
Yeah, JP, you got a little more juice, a little more pep in your step. Like I feel like you brought a little more energy because the postseason is here. I would certainly hope that would be the standard each and every week during the regular season, whatever, that you're not just turning it up because it's a playoff game. I want you to be the same.
Bucky's got his Jaguars going.
Okay, nice sweatshirt finally. Yeah. Bucky, I'm glad you finally wore some Jaguars garb for the playoffs. That's right.
No, I had on the Jaguars thing last week.
No, he's had
I don't think you did. No.
He changes right before the show.
Changed out your Raiders gear and put the Jaguars in.
No, I did. I had on some Jaguar stuff last time. I mean, I wore it for 3 years. I wore it all the time. We're getting our head beat in. So, okay.
All right.
I'm trying to bring it back.
Okay, not a bandwagon guy, Bucky. No,
here's
fine.
how big this game is. There's not even anything about Week 18 on the rundown.
Nope. Doesn't matter.
Okay, well.
It's all in the rear view.
All right.
It's all in the rear view. It's a new season now, John. This is the next level of football.
Fair enough.
And we're going to dig in certainly into this matchup all the way through it. The Jaguars in the 3-seed, of course, in the AFC playoffs, hosting the 6-seed Bills. The Jags back in the playoffs, first time since 2022. Their 5th division title in franchise history. Bills making their 7th straight playoff appearance. They've been knocked out of the playoffs by the Kansas City Chiefs. Talking to some people in Buffalo today, I was on one of their shows. I mean, they feel like since Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs are out of this thing, the at least feel from there is like, oh, this is now the opportunity. The road is wide open for Josh Allen because the Chiefs have knocked him out for the last 5 years in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's wide open for them. I would say it's wide open for everybody.
That's right.
So I understand how they feel that way, and maybe it is that way for them. But I don't know that I really consider Buffalo, Bucky, the favorite going into the postseason. I know they're favored in this game, but I kind of like what Belichick said about it. The Bills maybe have an edge at the end of games because of their playoff experience, but you got to get to the end of those games. I doubt anybody inside the Buffalo organization is sort of assuming that this is their shot. I don't think they've had that kind of year to feel that way, although they're really, really good. I mean,
look, here's my thing with Buffalo, and I've seen this and I've heard this, and I've tried not to be annoyed by the conversation. Everyone has talked about this being the Bills' year. The path is open for Josh Allen. Josh Allen has a tremendous amount of pressure on him because no Pat Mahomes, no Joe Burrow, no Lamar Jackson. He is viewed as the best quarterback in the field, and the best quarterback should be able to roll through the playoff field and make it happen. I will say that of all the teams that he's come through the postseason with, this is probably the team that is the least talented when it comes to the number of blue chip players that he has around him and how they're playing. That said, they play really good team football. They have always been a team where the team probably makes up for more than the sum of its individual parts. But one, the fact that they're favored. Two, the fact that people kind of expect them to walk over the Jags. It's a bit laughable, even though I remember how badly they issued a beatdown on us last year on a Monday night when we had to venture up there and they absolutely tore us apart.
Yeah, somebody asked me in the Ozone about that game, and I don't know that there's a whole lot of different. So what's the difference in that game? What's the difference in this Bills team from that team? Probably not much. I mean, they still have Josh Allen, but the difference between this Jaguars team and that team,
night and day.
It was a 37-point game. I'd say this Jaguars team is 37 points better than that Jaguars team. I mean,
right.
Especially the one that showed up that night. I mean, that was a fiasco. I think Liam Cohen's comment on Monday when asked if he would look at that game, he goes, nah.
No.
I mean, it so has nothing to do with this team. But, yes, Josh Allen is the best quarterback in the playoffs going in, the most experienced quarterback. That's a statement that should be made. But I'm telling you, Bucky, the fact that it's not a given and the fact that I'm anxious to see if he's the best quarterback in this game is enough to make me think the Jaguars might go to the Super Bowl. Meaning, I don't know that after this playoffs, if it's going to be a guarantee that he's the best quarterback in the playoffs, because I think Trevor's accelerating that quickly.
Yeah, I think he is accelerating that quickly. I am with you, and I've said this. I think I'm record saying that I feel like the Jags are going to the bowl, but I'm trying not to look too far in advance. I will say this about last year's game, and one of the things that you have to be careful of as a player, particularly if you're a player for the Buffalo Bills, because of the way that the Buffalo Bills beat down the Jaguars on that Monday night, you can get seduced into thinking that, yeah, it's the same old Jags. We know who this team is. Like, same players, same quarterback, yada, 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 yada. And you can build up a level of overconfidence that allows you to fall into this shock and awe when it takes place on Sunday against a very different version of the Jags. But I think they will be a very confident team coming down. And I think some of that confidence will come from that Monday night massacre that they experienced when they just absolutely beat us from pillar to post.
Yeah, I think if you're the Jaguars, you hope they feel that way. That the Bills, if you're the Jags, you hope the Bills feel that way.
But, I mean, clearly, though, you turn on the tape of this Jags team, which they will do, and thoroughly, you will find out fast that this is not the same.
Right. But
there
sometimes is an element of when a team's done it the first time, and you still sort of feel it from some national stuff and all that of hey, they just got here, and when you just get here, you can't possibly be as good as the team that's been here a bunch.
Right.
We'll see.
Yeah, there is, JP, I know, like, you're like, no, but they look at the tape or whatever. But, JP, there's a bit of this arrogance that you can have. And I will break it down to terms that you can explain it. It was very much like the conversation last week when Indiana was playing Alabama. And even though your eyes could tell you that Indiana is good, all the Alabama people are like, oh, we're going to.
Right, experience.
Can't wait.
They've been
we're
here.
We're going to beat them down.
Yeah,
we've been here. We've done it. And until you get into that game, you don't have the right appreciation or the right mentality against the team. I think Sean McDermott, in listening to his pressers this week, he understands how good it is, but can he get his team to understand it when all the noise around him in the town is like, hey, this is Josh Allen's coronation to be a Super Bowl champion. It can be hard to keep the locker room insulated from that kind of conversation on the outside.
Very, very interesting. And I hadn't really thought about that angle that much.
That's right.
And I think it's because, again, it's the postseason, and I've looked at this postseason for a couple of weeks as New England, Denver, Jacksonville, Buffalo, even Los Angeles, Chargers, even I've had people say, do you think the Jaguars will be ready? Are they ready for the moment? Yeah, I think they're ready for the moment. I think they'll play well. I don't know if they'll win because Buffalo's really good. And Josh Allen's really scary. Denver's really good. But for the last 5 or 6 weeks, ever since they started playing, if you watch the Jaguars, there's zero question they belong in the conversation. I personally think if you look at it objectively, take uniforms off, whatever. They're the best team going into the playoffs. Denver they beat Denver. Mm-hmm. The Patriots and the Bills have not played the schedule that the Jaguars have. So if you look at it with how Trevor's playing, with the way the Jaguars have been beating teams down the stretch, they deserve to be in that conversation. I think on paper they're the favorite. They have to prove that.
All right, let's come back. Yeah, they got to prove it.
Yeah,
got to go prove it. You got to go. That's why they play the games.
That's why they play the games.
Exactly. And we're going to get into the game. When we come back, we'll take a closer look at the Buffalo Bills, the number 6 seed, coming into town for the AFC Wildcard playoff game. If you want customized Jags furniture for your home, check out zipchair.com and browse all customizable options. ZipChair, furniture for fans. It's Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks.
The ultimate strain is what it is, right? Because you're dual threat. You have to defend the run and the pass every time the ball is snapped, right? It's not as if you can just tee off on a guy like that, knowing, man, well, he can't really move, so you can just go play 2-man or go do these things. Your rush plan has to be extremely dialed in. Your spy game has to be dialed in if you're going to do any of that stuff. Your zone coverage has got to make sure that you're giving eyes, obviously, on the quarterback at all times. And look, when you have to account for the quarterback every play, we have a luxury of that as well in ways where the quarterback can take off on you. It's hard to defend every blade of grass.
Liam Cohen, Jaguars head coach, earlier today. Full press conference at Jaguars.com and Jaguars YouTube. Welcome back. Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks, talking about Josh Allen. Yeah, the quarterback for the Buffalo Bills. Fantastic season again. Bunch of rushing touchdowns. The highest rushing yards total of any quarterback in the league this year. And about 3,600 yards passing, and can do it all. And when he turns it on, it is a real problem. We're going to dig into the Bills here coming up. We'll take a deeper look at the Jaguars' defensive matchup. But, Bucky, Josh Allen, when he flips that switch and does things like this, he can change the game in a hurry.
Yeah, absolutely. He can change the game, man. He's one of those guys. We talk about quarterbacks being in 2 categories, trucks and trailers. He is an absolute truck because he can put the team in the back and he can carry them as far as they want to go.
Wait a minute. Whoa. I've never heard that before. At this point, you're just making stuff up.
Wow.
At this point, you're just free. You're a jazz musician at this point.
I'm sorry. So quarterbacks come in 2 categories. They come in trucks where the quarterback carries the team, or they're trailers where the team carries the quarterback. And Josh Allen is a truck because he's carrying this team. When you look at the rest of the pieces around him, there are only 2 other blue chip players on that offense, and that is James Cook and Deion Dawkins. The rest of the guys are good, but this is Josh Allen and company getting it done. And so if you want to call it Gladys Knight and the Pips or whatever you want to call it, it's the Josh Allen show. He is the one that makes it go. And everyone has to understand that you have to stop 17, and you have to stop 17 in these situations because this is when he's prone to run. He's prone to run and got to have his situations. 3rd down, tight red zone, meaning 10 yards and in, he's going to take off and run it. 2-minute situations where it's critical and they need it. Those are the things where you have to look for 17 to run. Otherwise, it's about him pushing the ball down the field and trying to make him force the ball into tight windows because he will throw it in the tight coverage. You got to be there, but you got to be aware in those got to have it moments. 17 will take off and run.
Bucky, you watch more of the Bills than I do because you watch more of the league than I do. Josh Allen, to me, is the biggest X factor left in the playoffs. But is the way the Jaguars play defensively, meaning playing zone a lot, watching him, and the fact that they, in my opinion, I think the DBs on this team and linebackers are very good tacklers and very aggressive tacklers, very aware tacklers. Not every cornerback I've ever covered fits that category, but these guys do. And they're a very team-oriented defense. This defense really doesn't depend on one pass rusher to be dominant. they've been a team and play well together. Do those things bode well for them or give them a better chance than some teams to slow a player like Josh Allen down?
I think a few things that work well for the Jaguars in this matchup is what you said. It's a team-friendly scheme. It's a zone-based scheme where they can keep their eyes on. I think all that is really important because you don't want to play man-to-man a ton against Josh Allen because when he breaks contain, look, everyone has their eyes on their respective matchups, and that leads to explosive gains for him. When you have zone, if he breaks, guys can rally and tackle and kind of minimize the gains that he has. But I think it's important to understand Anthony Campanelli and his background and who he's been around. Some of the influence from Vic Fangio, having been around when Vic was around in Miami and all that other stuff. Remember this, when you look at the tape, a couple of weeks ago, the Philadelphia Eagles held the Buffalo Bills to either 13 or 12 points. Vic Fangio was the defensive coordinator. There are a lot of things that the Jaguars can utilize to replicate that. Now, we don't necessarily have a Jalen Carter, but we do have a Trayvon Walker that can pop inside in key moments. We do have an Aaron Armstead who can come inside and create some disruption. I think you'll see some elements of that game plan show up in this game plan that the Jags use because the Jaguars are funny because they're a bit of a chameleon in terms of what they utilize on defense. One week they can be heavy man, the next week they can be zone. They'll change their look. To me, I think they want to keep an umbrella over top of the perimeter coverage. They'll let them move the ball in between the 20s, and then they'll really focus on locking them down in the red zone to make them kick field goals. Look for those game plans to be very, very similar the way the Philadelphia Eagles kind of throttled the Buffalo Bills. Look for the Jaguars to use a lot of that in their game plan this week.
Coming up in just a little bit, we'll get the defensive coverage of the game and the plan to slow down James Cook in the running game. That's coming up in just a few minutes. Let's flip it around to the other side now. And the Jaguars offense against this Bills defense. Where can you attack this group, Bucky, if you're Trevor Lawrence, Liam Cohen, Grant Udinski?
So you may not have heard the conversation. Sean McDermott was lamenting the loss of Maxwell Hairston, one of their DBs. He was hurt in the last game. He's unavailable. They tried to get some veteran players to come through. Those guys haven't come through. So they're down. They're short on cornerbacks. And where this team needs to be attacked is, one, they're very vulnerable against the run. They've had problems against the run when people have gone at them. And so you want to make sure that you run at them as much as you can, and you may have a lot of success. But also, in finding ways to throw the ball, you certainly can have some opportunities in these one-on-one matchups. Now, the Buffalo Bills want to play zone. They want to keep in front. They're a team that is well constructed, but they've had issues throughout the year in terms of making sure they marry up the coverage with the front and that stuff. I think the Jaguars' best course of action is to do what they've done the last 8-9 weeks. Just let Trevor do what he does, try and run the football, get the ball to all the weapons, and allow the collective unit to overwhelm the Buffalo Bills as compared to like, oh, I want to make sure I get this person and that person involved. I think they just run their offense, and I think their offense is good enough to give the Buffalo Bills a problem.
Yeah, I agree. It seems that the two biggest keys could be you don't want to have a start like you did in Denver where you don't really move for the first couple because Josh Allen, it can turn into one of those games we've seen this kid play, meaning Josh Allen, where you got to keep up. And that's a possibility with him. I think Jaguars defense can negate that. But you could be in one of those and all of a sudden you're behind on serve and you're trying to get back in it. I also think really the Jaguars have talked so often for 10 weeks about it's about us. We're not worried about the other team. Mm-hmm. And I think in this game that has a lot of merit. In the last 8 weeks, the Jaguars have won 6 of the games by 14 points. The only 2 exceptions are when they turn the ball over inside the 10 against teams. In Arizona and against the Colts. That's a stunning stat in terms of how well this offense has given this team leads, margins. I think the Jaguars are at the point now where if they don't beat themselves offensively, they're really hard to get off the field. And, Indianapolis, think about that one. If you don't have the 2 red zone turnovers, that's not a 6-point game.
It's a blowout.
Arizona the same way, really. They gave one away.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm not meaning to go back over that, but when I found that this week, it sort of clarified to me of how well this offense is playing. played well against Denver, which was arguably one of the best 2 or 3 defenses. If the Jaguars play their game, not every team in the league can keep up with Josh Allen when he's on. If the Jaguars are playing their game, they can keep up, and they can maybe even stay ahead. And they've shown that. I'm not, banging the table bragging on this team, but that's what they've shown for the last 9 weeks or 8 weeks.
It's funny, John, like a lot of that, right? Because all the conversation, because the stakes are high, people will expect the Jaguars to need to get out of pocket and to do different things. And honestly, it's not about them being any different. It's about them just playing the way that they played. I don't think they have to raise the standards. They don't have to play better than they played. They just need to play at the level that they've played at the last few weeks. And I think what everyone needs to understand, and I think 2022 is going to be a great point of reference for this team. The game is long. And no matter what it looks like early, there's always opportunities to get back in the game. And so from an emotional standpoint, because it's been a minute since we've seen Trevor make mistakes, we've been a minute since we've seen the offense sputter or whatever, no one should panic. You have to remember it's a 4-quarter game. And in the playoffs, there's going to be a bit of a filling out period. We just need to make sure that we stay true to ourselves. If we don't turn the ball over, and if we just play the way that we play, running the ball, throwing it to all the weapons, being efficient and effective, man, we're more than good enough to beat the team. And in fact, I'm saying this because I would be shocked if we don't beat them. To me, when you look it up, however you look up roster comparisons, film evaluations, we're the better team. We just need to play. If we play, we'll beat them. Yeah,
to me, the reason people don't see that is because of the Bills' very, very impressive recent history. Was it is their 7th straight playoff appearance?
Straight. Absolutely.
And because Josh Allen, and again, in saying all this, Josh Allen to me is one of my favorite 2 or 3 players in the league. I love watching the guy play. He is a walk-in Hall of Famer, as good as any quarterback in the last 25 years to me. I think the thing that could be a factor that people aren't looking at is the fact that the Bills have tons of playoff experience, but it's not like the Jaguars don't have those elements.
That's right.
Meaning 14 of these guys were here together in 22, and I think what Bucky's talking about could very well play into it. If they get down, for example, Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne and Trayvon Walker and Josh Hines Allen are on the sideline going, we were down 27 3 years ago.
Right,
yeah. And so I don't think, there's a perception that this is sort of an out-of-nowhere team, and it is this year. But this core of guys, they went through losing 5 of 6 at the end of 23. They went through coming from out of nowhere 5 times. It wasn't just that L.A. game. It was every game. So they have more experience, and their teeth are longer than the league thinks.
That's right. And there's some of the free agent guys they brought in have playoff experience too. It's not like, I think it's about 13 of those guys.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that is more than you would anticipate going into a game like this.
I'm looking forward to it.
All right. I think we all are. We're back in a moment. We'll get to the defensive coverage of the game, and Bucky's going to tell us how to stop James Cook, Bills running back, the rushing champion this year in the National Football League. It's Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks.
Slippery, elusive, smooth. He's just has a great feel for mid-zone, for the zone game, and being able to press combinations, and then just like he has such a great feel. And then duo, like if you collapse it all, he's fast enough to bounce it and go one-on-one with a corner that's got a crack replace, and he's fast enough to run around the edge and make that guy miss. I mean, the run against the Browns, that has been all over the place. I mean, it was ridiculous. They had 2 guys unblocked in the hole, and he just makes them both miss, and he's off to the races.
Great sound effect from Liam Cohen there. James Cook, the running back of the Bills, 4th-year player out of Georgia. 2nd round pick back in 2022. Welcome back. It is Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks. J.P. Shadrick, John Oehser in Jacksonville, Bucky Brooks out in Los Angeles. James Cook, the rushing champion in the National Football League, John.
But is he a truck or a trailer? I'm trying to figure out if he's a truck or a trailer.
Because if the quarterback's the truck, you can't have two trucks with one trailer.
Maybe they have two trucks. I don't know. Help me out, Bucky. I still have my son's Matchbox cars at home. Maybe that. Do I need to set him up and figure this out?
Well, I think if you have your son's Matchbox cars, go and see if you can find the 18-wheeler.
Okay.
Because that's what it is. It's a big trailer now. It's a big trailer that's behind Josh Allen. But James Cook is legit. James Cook, 1,600-plus yards, a guy who can take a distance from anyone on the field, can also catch the ball out the backfield. He is terrific. And the combination of Josh Allen and James Cook gives people problems because if you're, focused on James Cook, the runner, then what you do is you're susceptible to Josh Allen coming out the back door on some of the read option things and those tactics. If you are too consumed with Josh Allen and slowing down the passing game, then you have these light boxes that are being eaten up by the run game that the Buffalo Bills present. Here's what I would tell you. The Bills are going to run 12 personnel. They're going to have two tight ends on the field. They're going to try and run it. They want to set up some play action shots to their wide receivers. Number one priority is you got to stop this running game. You cannot allow the Buffalo Bills to run the football because if I'm the Bills coming in, I understand what the challenge is. They want to protect their defense. That means a very slow and deliberate approach on offense, shrink the game, limit the opportunities that the Jaguars have on offense. And so you want to use James Cook as your best defender by giving him the ball 25 to 30 times and allowing him to dictate the terms.
Yeah, it's a very telling for people who watch this show and watch Liam. It's very telling to me that he talked in such detail and such praise of Cook, because Liam really, really understands how to run a run offense. Like he's exceptional at planning that. He knows the intricacies of it. He has praised that coaching staff and this for that. So he understands how good James Cook is at finding holes, at being a smart runner within the offense. To me, I expect the Bills to run better than any team has run on the Jaguars this year. They haven't given up a 75-yard rusher. It would not surprise me if he exceeds that. To me, Bucky, the key is, I like talking about football in this situation because you sort of talk the same way I do. I think they'll have a couple of drives where they get it. I think they'll have a couple of drives where you're like, uh-oh, because they're that good. To me, the key is limit those kind of drives to one or two, and maybe start the first half, maybe start the second when they adjust, but get them out of that. How they adjust to those moments when this great running team gets theirs, to me, will be the key on Sunday.
Yeah, they have to be able to adapt and adjust. And I will say probably the best part of Anthony Campanelli and the defensive staff is their ability to make adjustments in game. Whether that is at halftime, whether that's the middle of the second quarter, they do a really good job of figuring out what the other team is doing early, making adjustments, and eliminating the things that are giving them issues. Liam talked about the run game, and it's interesting for him to talk about duo, which is power without pullers, meaning you're not pulling the backside guard, you're double teaming everyone on the front side, and how they basically just collapse everything down and they allow James Cook to find a hole. That is going to test the discipline and the attention to detail of the defense. Everyone has to understand their responsibilities. The guys who are double team have to understand how to fight through the double teams the right way. So it has to be a collective effort from everyone to make sure that they understand the assignments and the alignments and what they're trying to get done. But it comes down to tackling, and it comes down to being able to tackle on the perimeter. It comes down to the guys being able to get them down. He has a little Houdini in his game in terms of making people miss. So you got to get enough bodies around him. But if you can win on early downs and force this team into obvious passing downs where you can lock up and put your hands on the receivers and get around the receivers, then it becomes more difficult for this offense to maneuver.
Yeah, that to me is the whole thing. I think if they hold Cook to under 100, they win.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, and that's more than they've given up to anybody.
Sure.
But they're so dependent on it. When you watch them, to me, it's a different kind of runner. But philosophically, remember when the Titans had Derrick Henry, and you could be up on them, but they were still going to run? Like, being up on a lot of teams takes the run away. it's over. Against the Bills are so good at it that strains the defense too, because you get them in a situation where most teams wouldn't run, you still have to honor their run. So this is the biggest test this very, very, very good Jaguars run defense has had this year.
Let's take a look at the defensive coverage of the game presented by GEHA, Government Employees Health Association, benefits for federal employees and retirees. We take a look at the Jaguars' defensive rankings in the regular season against the Bills' offense. Jags, of course, number 1 against the run. Bills, number 1 rushing offense. That'll be the primary focus of many this week. Bills really good on third down this year. The red zone, of course. The Jaguars, number 2 in the league in takeaways. 31 of them in the regular season. Should be a fantastic matchup in the AFC Wildcard playoff game. We'll return in just a moment and take a look at the playoff bracket and get our final thoughts in before the Bills-Jaguars matchup, the 6-3 game in the AFC playoffs coming up this Sunday. And this is Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks.
Same as, man. Same as. That's what we talked about this morning, was 1-0 again this week. That's especially, we're in the dance now, right? We're in the tournament, so it is. We got to go 1-0 each week. But taking it week in and week out, and I think that our players have done a nice job of rising to the level of competition and playing well in important games, right? And that no flinch, no blink mentality, the mindset to, hey, we got to go take care of ourselves, go play our best football, put our best foot forward, and go compete our asses off and see what happens. I think we got enough guys that have played in playoff atmosphere, that know what it takes, that know what it's about, that can help some of these younger guys maybe talk through it.
Liam Cohen, Jaguars head coach, earlier today, full press conference of he and Trevor Lawrence at Jaguars.com and Jaguars YouTube. Welcome back. It's Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks, brought to you by Fields Auto Group Jacksonville. See Fields first, Jacksonville's premier luxury auto group. Go to fieldsauto.com. The playoff fields are set in both conferences. The road to Super Bowl 60 begins this weekend. A couple games on Saturday. Rams at the Panthers, 4:30. Packers at the Bears at 8 o'clock Eastern, both in the NFC. The 5-4 game and the 7-2 game. Then, of course, 3 games Sunday. AFC 6-3 game, Bills, Jaguars. NFC at 4:30. The 6-3 game, the Niners at the Eagles. And then at 8 o'clock Eastern, the 7-2 game in the AFC, Chargers, Patriots. Then on Monday night, Texans at Steelers. Bucky, this should be a fantastic weekend of football. What about the first-round wild card games outside of the Jaguars games? Which game are you most excited to see?
There's so many to talk about. I think when you look at the Texans and the Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm just curious to see which version of the Steelers shows up, because the version that played Sunday is the version that we hadn't seen from Aaron Rodgers. That defense is a lockdown defense in terms of Houston, so that is interesting. I want to see the Chargers take on the team that they preferred to play, the New England Patriots. They feel like they matched up well against them, so how did the Patriots come out as a young team? People don't anticipate them being able to make a run because they have this inexperience and they played a quote-unquote softer schedule. So that works. And, the Denver Broncos have been doing a lot of chatting about wanting to pay back the team that went on the road and beat them at their place. So I'm just curious to see who they line up with and what their path to the Super Bowl 60 looks like, given all the conversation they have out there. Look, mouthy bunch out there.
Mouthy.
Yeah, to me, Bucky, I think we talked about it. To me, the scary team is the Texans. Because, maybe the Steelers play better than they have all year. But I think Houston's defense, the two ends, seem to me to be one. Every team has its strength. That's one of the stronger, more difficult elements to stop in the playoffs, regardless of conference, regardless of division. They are always, every time I watch them, they are always all over the opposing quarterback, and that can bother every team in the playoffs, no matter what the matchup is. But I'm with you, Bucky. A matchup sometime this offseason with the Broncos would be a fun week. Let's just see if they get there.
I mean, very fun week because they are talking.
They apparently didn't lose the game.
Yeah,
amazingly.
Evidently not.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to stay. I'm gonna stay where my cleats
Sure.
are. I'm not gonna get
No
too
doubt.
far ahead of it. Look, man, I'm really excited about this because the way this run is shaping up and the way the field is shaping up, it is right there for the Jags. And we've done a really good job of staying week to week as a team and not getting too far ahead of it. But when you look at this team and the way they're trending and the way they're playing, and more importantly, the status of their players, like the health is really good in terms of this team having most of their weapons available to play on both sides of the ball. I anticipate us playing really well. And it's a hardened team. It's a team that has played a very difficult schedule. There is no one that they will face in the postseason that is more challenging than the teams that they've played and beaten during the regular season. This team is well prepared, and as long as we don't get out of pocket and become overly emotional because of the game and the circumstance, I expect us to play well in front of our home fans, and I'm looking forward to it being a fun Sunday and a Sunday that gives us a chance to get to the next weekend.
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic, JP, and you and I have covered. This is the third playoff team we've covered here.
Correct.
Jaguars also made the playoffs in 05 and 07. But this is the first time out of those five, and again, I separated because I covered them in the 90s when they were sort of the favorite at times. They've never gone in as prepared, as battle-tested, whatever, as hot with 8 games. Mm-hmm. Every year before, there was always in 22, did you really think they were going to get past the Chiefs? Yeah,
right.
You hoped.
Yeah.
In 17, Brady's there, and even when they went up to Pittsburgh, they had to upset.
Mm-hmm.
They had to kind of be the team punching up.
Right.
05 and 07, they lost to the Patriots.
That's right.
And I'm not saying they're the favorite going in, but even, Bucky can talk about this more than I can. Players have to have that core of belief. You hope you can win. You believe you can win. This team sort of goes in thinking there's no reason we shouldn't win.
Yeah.
And they got to prove that, but that's a different element. Plus, they have the respect card of we're going to prove to everybody that we're right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an interesting team that it's the playoffs. You got to win it. But I think they can.
Yeah, and just a quick reference on those 2 years. Remember 17, Blake Bortles got hot in December. The defense was maniacal. Those guys were crazy, right? I mean, they were great all year long. But the offense kind of caught up, and they had to rally and win the thing, right, and got in. 22, same thing. They're trailing in games. Defense makes plays. They're coming back fourth quarter. They were always behind the 8 ball and just finding a way. And, of course, the playoff game happened with the 4 picks and all that, and they rallied to win. But you're right. I mean, there was always that
you felt like you needed a miracle.
There was one bigger team always out there ahead of them in those playoff runs, Bucky.
Yeah, there's not a boogeyman out there.
Yeah.
There's not a team that you can look up, particularly in the AFC, and say, oh, my gosh, man, we don't want to play that team, or this team is noticeably better than everyone else. What you can say is when you look at the playoff field, all 7 teams have a wart that they have to overcome. They have a fatal flaw that could prevent them from being able to get to the Super Bowl. Of all the teams, I would say the Jags are the most balanced when it comes to like being able to minimize their glaring weaknesses. And I would say the outside perception of the team is they're waiting for the clock to strike midnight on number 16.
Right.
There's this feel that he is Cinderella, and at some point he's going to have to get back in the pumpkin carriage and go back to where he came from. But I just don't see that. And I think it's great that he has an opportunity to match up against Josh Allen, because Trevor Lawrence is eerily similar to Josh Allen in terms of some of the things that he's showing that he can do this year. He's a touchdown short of joining an elusive club where Josh Allen has been in it twice. Lamar Jackson, Cam Newton, 25 touchdowns, 25 pass touchdowns, 10 rushing touchdowns. Trevor Lawrence is right there knocking on the door, 38 touchdowns responsible for it. He has that. And so I'm just excited that the football world is going to get a chance to see that Sunday in the bank. The only thing that would have made it better is would have been a nighttime game, so the energy would be a little different. But it should be an electric atmosphere on Sunday anyway.
Yep.
Yeah. There's no bad playoff spot.
Nope.
But let these guys believe they were dissed with the 1 o'clock game. That's great. And I don't know what'll happen Sunday, but I've put the pumpkin carriage away. I don't think there's going to be any call.
Just put it in the garage.
To put him, like,
we're done.
I don't. Maybe there'll be a 3-pick game someday again. I'm sure there will be.
There probably will be.
I use this analogy all the time. On a Sunday night game, I once watched Peyton throw 6 picks. Those games are going to happen.
A lot of picks.
But it's a lot of picks. They almost won the game.
A lot of interceptions.
But he also was the MVP 2 years later and 3 years later. So, point being, you're going to have games like this. I don't think you're going to resort. I don't think you're ever going to have Trevor Lawrence in his career where people are wondering if he's good or not.
It's a good step.
Good step.
Now you got to go win playoff games and advance.
John, you ready to lock this thing? Are you locking it, or are you him?
I'm not locking the game, but I'm locking him being good.
You're not locking the game, or like what are we doing?
No, I'm not locking the game.
You're gonna do it. We're not gonna do it.
I am locking Trevor being a top 5 or 6 quarterback.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm talking about the game, though. I'm trying to figure out.
Not practice. We're talking about the game.
You're going to the stadium.
You're over here talking about, look, you've gone from trailers to trucks to pumpkin carriages. I'm all over the place. I'm just trying to keep the car on the road.
A lot of automobiles. Wow.
I'm saying, I firmly expect us to talk about playing one of those teams, whether it's the Patriots or whoever next weekend. I'm looking forward to it.
I think the Jags are going to win, and I think it's going to be interesting Sunday night to see where they go. But that's what I believe.
Okay.
I like it. Bucky, have a great week. We got another one in. We'll do it again next week. How about that?
Oh, it should be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun on Sunday.
It's going to be a packed house. Overflow crowd at Everbank Stadium expected for the AFC Wildcard playoff game, the 6-3 game, the Bills and the Jaguars coming up this Sunday. For Bucky Brooks, John Oehser, our entire crew, Joe Fortunato, Brent Reber, I'm J.P. Shadrick. This is Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks.